Now we've looked at a few Easter designs in different shapes and sizes, and you will have seen me use this base before, but in a different design. So when I tilt it forward in a minute, there are a few holes in the floral foam. And I'm just really trying to be economical with the materials that I've got. So this time I'm going to do a design where I'm using some supermarket flowers. So I've picked up a spring bunch, and in that bouquet there was some some hyacinths, a gorgeous daffodil, and some purple tulips. And I'm going to incorporate those alongside some Gunea-fowl feathers, and these ones I bought in commercially from the florist supplies. But you can pick up lots of interesting Easter accessories from your local supermarkets. And I've also got some quail eggs, and these are real. They're very fragile. I've already broken one getting it out of the box. But I wanted to create something that was a bit more organic and a bit more natural. So that's my flower choice. And I will, in the moment, when I've stopped talking, bring the camera in a bit closer so you can see how I'm working the design. But we've seen the base once before. It's got lots of moss, some textured bark. There's vine and birch around the outside, and two different types of greenery. And I haven't arranged it particularly formally. I've just placed it in the design so that it has a very organic and natural feel to it. I didn't really want to make something that was formal and matching on either side. And I've used a 12-inch floral foam ring. This one is a Naylor base, and you'll find that I've linked these in the affiliate links in the description box at the end of the video. So if you decide that you want to buy them, you can just follow the link and it'll take you to an Amazon shop that's going to sell those products and deliver them for you. When I did this design before, I showed you that you could use some pins. These are mossing pins to hold your bark into place. If you're doing a design just for the house, then you don't have to worry so much about making sure your pieces of bark are secure in your foam. But as a commercial florist, if we're delivering this item, then obviously it needs to be able to get to the recipient in one piece. Now what I'll do is I'll bring the camera in a bit closer. I'll also tilt the ring forward so you can see it more clearly as it's coming together, because this one is going to be a design that's quite low down and compact, quite close to the floral foam itself. So we've brought you in quite close now so you can see the detail in the design. I'm just going to slide that forward slightly. And I'm going to start with the hyacinths. And I am going to cut these down quite short. Now the hyacinths are fairly open. They've got a beautiful profusion of colour and a wonderful perfume. Sometimes if they're not strong enough, you might need to insert a small wire into the base of the hyacinth, or you can poke a little hole in the floral foam first so that that stem can insert quite nicely without damaging it. And as I described in the beginning, I'm clustering them together quite low down to the foam. Now I have 3 of the hyacinths, but if you can see there, I've got one little bud sitting quite close down there in the greenery. So an extra one I can use. And what I don't want to do is to place the hyacinth, that pink colouring, directly opposite this section here, because it gives me a very unattractive and almost an artificial line running through the middle. So I'm going to pop it a little bit further up here towards the back. So what I'm trying to replicate is almost like a garden scene. So this is how your little flowers would be popping up in the garden quite naturally. If you think of a woodland scene, flowers wouldn't be symmetrical or matching on either side. Now we're going to use the lilac-y purple tulip, really unusual colour tulip. And again, I'm going to do little clusters as if this is the way they were growing in the garden. Not too regimented, angled in different ways so that you can see that natural shape forming. Now I have 4 of these, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one on its own, and then I'm going to put one on its own down there, rather than putting them in matching pairs on either side. And I'm trying to place them at different heights, so we've got some variety in the height of the arrangement. That makes it again far more natural. Now my next flower is the daffodil, and there's a couple of different varieties in here. I'm not too concerned about placing the matching flower heads together. I think if you think of a very natural woodland scene, there would be all sorts of colours of flowers coming up. So I'm going to just stagger them throughout the arrangement. And like I mentioned most weeks when we're creating these floral designs, is to look for flowers that have a variety of shapes and a variety of textures. We have almost a rose shape with the tulip. In nature, the flowers would be facing towards the ceiling. Now I'm looking at this design from a strange angle. I'm looking at it through the camera lens, whereas normally I make it and turn it around for you to see. So you might find that when I turn it around later, I might change a few placements of the flowers just to even out the colour a little bit more. But for a minute, I'm just randomly placing all the different flowers, the different colours and the different shape heads throughout the wreath. Isn't that lovely? Now I don't have any more flower types, and I'm not too worried about overfilling it with lots of different flowers. But what I am now going to do is to introduce some short pieces of Senecio. So this is Senecio Greyi, also known now as Brachyglottis. So for the old school ones, you'll know it as Senecio. For the young florists coming through, you will know it as Brachyglottis. Just a little bit of a mouthful. Now I can't see from the position I'm looking at it from if all the gaps are filled in the floral foam, but I can correct that before I take a photo later on. What I'm doing at the moment is just trying to make sure that the gaps are filled in and the foam is covered in the areas that I'm looking at. I'm almost working backwards. It's almost like working in a mirror, but hopefully that's coming together quite well. And now what I'm going to do at this stage is just to introduce those pretty feathers. So the Gunea-fowl feathers, they've come on a long kebab stick. I'll keep the kebab stick to use at a later date, but I'm going to cut those Gunea-fowl feathers down really short. It's a beautiful colour, and again I'm just going to dot them through so that we have quite a natural placement with the feathers. So if you think about a little Gunea-fowl running through the field or through the woodland, and he's dropping a few feathers on roots, they wouldn't fall on the floor in a very formal pattern. They would just be scattered quite naturally through the design. So a bit of colour up the back here. Some of the groups are in clusters of 2, some of them I've put 3 together. And what I might do when I photograph it later, because it's going to be photographed flat, at the moment I've raised the back up so you can see the design. I'm also just going to take a few of the individual feathers off the main stick and very, very simply, whoop, that wasn't very good, I snapped that one in half. Very naturally just feed them through so that soft feathery texture is sitting on top of the moss as well. Now you could of course add more flowers into this if you wanted to. I just wanted to use that one bunch so I can show you what you can do with a limited amount of flowers. Now what I'm going to do is to stagger through the design some of these little quail's eggs. And again, I'm not forgetting that my arrangement is tilted on its side, so this might be a disaster. They might all fall out. Sit some on the moss there, some groups of 2, some groups of 3, little eggs on their own as well, so we get a really nice natural pattern taking place. Gorgeous colourings again, very spring-like, new growth, new birth, fabulous for this time of the year, when we of course have Easter just around the corner. So what do we think of that one? That's definitely one of the quickest videos I've done. A really pretty design with all that textured material underneath, which is almost creating a nest affair. Lots of pale springtime colour and great for the centre of your table. You could even sit a bowl in the centre there, a glass bowl or a decorative bowl even, with some pretty Easter eggs or some chocolate eggs. That would be really nice. Now I'm anticipating that this is going to be the last Easter design that I've done, unless I think of something in the meantime. So again, thank you so much for watching. It's lovely to be able to listen to the feedback and answer the questions that are in the comment box below. Don't forget, I've linked anything that I've used in the affiliate links at the end. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit that bell to be notified every time I upload a new tutorial.